Move aside Mark Williams, the Lakers have traded for a new M-Will at center, and his name is Malik Williams. And okay, let me clarify. The Lakers technically didn't trade for him, but the Southbay Lakers did. And now Malik Williams is the Southbay Lakers' newest starting center for the home stretch of the G-League season. Because after Southbay's former starting center, Kyler Kelly, surprisingly signed a deal with the Philippine Basketball Association and left the team, the Lakers had to scramble to fill that spot. And after trading 2 first-round picks to the College Park Skyhawks for the 6'11" versatile center's rights, the Southbay Lakers seem to have gotten their new man in the middle. And so far, even though it's just 2 games, it seems like Malik Williams has acclimated himself to the team pretty well, dropping 10 points, 9 rebounds, 1 block, and 16 points, 8 rebounds, 1 block, and 4 threes in back-to-back wins this past weekend against the Texas Legends. So like this video, comment down below, and please hit subscribe, and let's learn a little bit more about the Southbay Lakers' newest starting center, Malik Williams. So it looks like the Lakers traded for a big man after all. It just happened in the G-League and not with the big squad. Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and today we're going to learn a little bit more about the Southbay Lakers' newest starting center, Malik Williams. And look, I'm not going to overstate things. This isn't some earth-shattering move. This isn't even necessarily a move that we should closely be monitoring for the rest of this season, because even if Malik earns a 2-way deal somehow to close the rest of this year out, the Lakers aren't going to waive someone to convert him into a standard deal. So this is likely just keeping tabs on somebody in the lower levels. This video is a purely leave no stones unturned, keep tabs on this player sort of video, so that in the very rare scenario where Malik becomes a thing in the future, you'll at least have some baseline prior knowledge. All right, so now let's get into the nuts and bolts of things. So prior to this past weekend, Kyler Kelly surprisingly left the Southbay Lakers and signed a contract with the PBA, the Philippine Basketball Association. Uy, Philippines! Congrats to Kyler Kelly, by the way. I hope you enjoy Manila, and I hope you're able to visit some of the many beautiful islands that the Philippines has to offer: Boracay, Palawan, El Nido. But anyways, Kyler Kelly left for the PBA. And obviously, that move left the Southbay Lakers with a big hole to fill, because Kelly was literally the team's starting center. Drew Timme, whenever he would play with Southbay, was the power forward. And so what were the Southbay Lakers going to do now? Well, enter Malik Williams, who was previously playing for Atlanta's College Park Skyhawks, a squad that current Laker Kobe Bufkin knows well because he played for their G-League affiliate. Anyways, Southbay ended up trading a 2026 first-round pick and a 2027 first to the Skyhawks for Malik Williams. And I don't know much about draft capital in the G-League, but 2 first-round picks still seems like a lot in general, so it seems like the Southbay Lakers really wanted Malik Williams and his skill set. Now the question is, who is Malik Williams? So Malik Williams is a 27-year-old center. He'll be 28 this upcoming August. He is 6'11" with a 7'3" wingspan and weighs 250 pounds. Really great size, length, and overall measurables. He hails from Indiana and does have some pedigree to his name because coming out of high school, he was a 5-star recruit. He played 5 collegiate seasons at Louisville from 2017 to 2022. As a senior, through 27 games, he averaged 9.5 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 1.3 steals, and 0.7 blocks in 25 minutes per game. This season in the G League for College Park, he averaged 16 points, 9.6 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 1.2 steals, and 1.2 blocks, shooting 38% from the field, which is very concerning, but we'll get into that in a bit. But he did also knock down 2.2 three-pointers a game, shooting 32% from 3, doing all of that in 28 minutes during the G League's regular season. Now, in the G League's tip-off tournament through 12 games, which ran from October to December before the tip-off tournament, I know, it's confusing. Anyways, through 12 games in the G League's tip-off tournament, he averaged 16.1 points, 10.7 rebounds, 1.6 assists, 1.6 blocks in 27 minutes per game. So essentially, he's been a 16 and 10 sort of player this whole season. Now, if we take into account his entire G League career through 3 seasons with College Park and the Sioux Falls Skyforce from 2023 to 25, overall, he's averaged 14 points, 9.8 rebounds, 1.6 assists, 1.1 steals, and 1.3 blocks in 25.8 minutes. So pretty good versatile stats across the board. Now, when it comes to his NBA experience, he was undrafted, but he isn't without any NBA experience whatsoever, because in 2023-24, he did get a late NBA call-up with the Toronto Raptors and appeared in 7 games. He also started 2 of those games, where he averaged 2.7 points, 5.4 rebounds in just 15 minutes per game. So nothing to write home about. He barely got any reps. He was just like a last-minute flyer for the Toronto Raptors. Now, in case you're interested in seeing his game log from that time with the Toronto Raptors, also not much to write home about, although he did have a game against the Brooklyn Nets, which was a pretty close game. I believe this was the game that he may have started. One of the games that he may have started. But in that game, he put up 7 points and pulled down 14 rebounds, which is very impressive. He also had 2 steals, only shot 3 of 10 from the field, so that's another red flag. But he did hit 1 3-pointer. The game before that against the Indiana Pacers, he put up 6 points and 9 rebounds. Another great rebounding game in just 14 minutes, 3 of 8 from the field. Again, not very efficient, but he did also block 1 shot. But outside of those 2 games, he really didn't do too much with the Toronto Raptors. He didn't get too many minutes, didn't get too many reps. So not much to glean from with regards to his short NBA career. All right, but now let's talk about his first 2 showings with the Southbay Lakers, because this past weekend, in 2 back-to-back wins versus the Texas Legends, he fared pretty well right off the bat. He came off the bench his first game and dropped 16 points, 8 rebounds, 1 block on 6 of 12 from the field, and 4 of 7 from 3, which is very impressive. A great Southbay Lakers debut game for Malik Williams. And then the second night, last night, he started at center and dropped 10 points, pulled down 9 rebounds, and got 1 block. So pretty good and solid first 2 showings for Malik Williams with the Southbay Lakers. Now, let's just generally talk about his game. Who is Malik Williams? Well, he's an interesting player with good length and size. Again, 6'11", almost 7 foot, with a really nice long 7'3" wingspan. He's also pretty mobile for his size, and while he's not explosive by any means, I think he's still relatively athletic and can run the floor pretty well on both ends of the court. Now, the most interesting thing about Malik Williams' game is the fact that he's a center who can theoretically space the floor. And at least in the G League, he has been averaging like 2 threes made per game, albeit on slightly inefficient numbers. But at the center position, to be a center who can shoot threes and knock down 2 a game is pretty impressive. He's also a pretty good mid-range jump shooter. And for better or for worse, the reason why his field goal percentage is so low and so inefficient is the fact that he likes shooting mid-range jump shots and 3-pointers. Maybe if he scaled that down, his field goal percentage would improve. But I think that's the defining characteristic of Malik Williams' game. He's a 6'11" center who can space the floor from 3. The other thing that I like about him, though, is that he's typically been a pretty good rebounder wherever he's played, whether it's collegiate, G League, his short stint with the Raptors. He's always been a good rebounder with a good motor when it comes to competing on the glass. So I like that part about his game. But yeah, overall, I would say his inefficiency is his biggest red flag. His shot selection, his conversion in the paint, his strength down low, all leave a lot to be desired. But if we're focusing on the positives and trying to see why the Southbay Lakers traded 2 first-round picks for this guy, I think it's because he rebounds the ball well, he's got nice physical tools and good mobility, and he is pretty versatile because he can stretch the floor. Now, historically, he hasn't been much of a shot blocker. In his 5 years with Louisville, he only averaged 0.7 blocks throughout his entire career. So he's not exactly a rim protector, although that number has improved in the G League where he's averaged around 1.2 blocks. I will say, though, that he is a pretty decent ball hawk. He does have active hands at the center position, given his long wingspan and mobility. And even in Louisville, his senior season, he averaged 1.3 steals per game. So in comparison to the Lakers' two-way big man in Drew Timme, I obviously think Malik Williams is a more athletic and more mobile big man. Even though he hasn't been much of a shot blocker throughout his career, I obviously still think he's a better rim protector than Drew Timme, but I don't think he's as smart, skilled, or even strong as Drew Timme. But yeah, to wrap this video up, here's how I would describe Malik Williams' game. He kind of reminds me of a fusion between Christian Wood and Nick Richards, because he likes to do the Christian Woody things on offense in terms of taking jump shots and three-pointers, most of the time ill-advised, some of the time ill-advised. He doesn't really post up too much or impose his will down low, so he's kind of Christian Woody in that respect, but he also seems like he does a little bit more centery types of things as well, and has a slightly more filled out body than Christian Wood, who would often play more power forward. So that's why I mentioned the Nick Richards of it all. I think they're both semi-athletic. He does rebound the ball well like Nick Richards, even though I know Christian Wood was a good rebounder in his heyday as well. But yeah, just picture Malik Williams as Christian Wood slowly morphing into Nick Richards, but he got stuck mid-morph. That's the easiest way that I can describe Malik Williams without getting into too much nitty-gritty detail on his game, because honestly, I don't know too much nitty-gritty detail on his game throughout his entire career. But yeah, is that the type of center that you'd want for the Lakers? Again, he's already 27 years old, so there might not be that much leeway or ceiling for his future. But he does have really good length, is pretty athletic, and can shoot the ball. So he does give you some versatility and a little bit more pop in those respects. Let me know what you think about Malik Williams, whether you think he has any shot with the big squad at all, or whether you think he might just be a fun watch for the Southbay Lakers for the rest of this season. We'll see whether they keep him next year, although again, they did trade 2 first-round picks, so he may be the Southbay Lakers starting center of the future. And in that respect, would you go out to El Segundo to watch him? Let me know your thoughts on Malik Williams' game in the comments below, and please remember to like this video and most importantly hit subscribe. Also, consider becoming a member to the Lakers Legacy YouTube channel, where you'll be able to access all of my exclusive videos and get a few more perks on the side as well. With that said, this has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.